Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishwaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Shri Medha Dakshina Swamine Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarchinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvamanusandhadami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्कपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थितदद्गतेन मनसां पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः. Namaste everyone once again.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste. Yajñasishtamritabhujah yanti brahma sanatanam nayam lokostvayajñasya kutonya kuru sattama. So Bhagavan Krishna, after talking about the 12 sadhanas or disciplines, which he calls as yajñas, here he is highlighting the fruits of practicing these yajñas. He glorifies those who practice these yajñas and highlights what one stands to lose by not practicing these sadhanas. And as we were discussing in the last class, these 12 yajñas are important, no doubt, but a practitioner of these yajñas should pay attention to many other aspects of discipline, which Krishna does not mention here, but which we gather from other scriptures and all, and which are also very, very important. And as I said, for attaining the fruits of these yajñas, one's life should be regulated in all its aspects on a day-to-day basis. That's very, very important. And in that context, we were discussing how one needs to regulate one's life right from the time one gets up early in the morning to welcome the rising sun. He does his snanam with a prayerful attitude, followed by nitya karmas like sandhya vandanam, offering prayers, etc. before the altar, and then only think of breaking the fast the person has been undergoing since the last meal on the night of the previous day. And the Shastra insists on these practices because we must use the ritual of morning bath for cleansing both the physical body and the mind of the impurities it gathers during the course of the transactions that we carry out every day. In fact, and this is, I am telling you based on my personal experience, if you approach this entire morning cleaning ritual as a yajna, you can feel the change in the mind. The mind becomes clean and very light, and that too in the morning. That mind is available, it's fresh and it is available for all Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, everything. Forget Vedanta, even for normal day-to-day studies and all that. And that's why in olden days, they used to insist that children should wake up early in the morning, cleanse their bodies, do prayers, and then study. Because in a fresh mind, whatever you study will get absorbed easily rather. So after all this loose kind of living, which is what we are doing, everyone should try this disciplined living for a few days. And then you can see a tremendous difference. As I said, you can feel the mind becoming lighter and lighter. Therefore, only after we religiously perform this morning ritual yajna, we are supposed to consume any food or drink. And that food, which is called yajna system. So the breakfast becomes yajna system. System here, normally system means the remains, reminder. But here it means the prasada. What remains after the yajna is completed? My first meal of the day becomes yajna prasada. On waking up, however hungry I am, I do not rush to go and eat. But it is not only the first meal. If we precede every meal with a prayer, any food consumed in this manner will become yajna system. And that's why we used to do the pariseshanam, Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha and all. If you do not know that, it doesn't matter. You can just close your eyes. Most important thing, two things one should observe while eating food. The food should be served fully and then only you should start eating. Because most people have got this habit. The moment one dish is served, they will start eating that. Then another dish is served. They can't even have the patience to wait for annam, the rice to be served, which is the last item normally to be served. Then once everything is served, you offer everything to Bhagawad. Just to say some simple prayer, Annapurne, Sadapurne, Shankara Prana Vallabhe. Or if you know little bit of Upanishad, say Brahmarpanam Brahma Havihi, Brahmagnav Brahmanahutam. The simple prayers are there. You can pray to God and then partake that food. It becomes yajna. And that food becomes yajna sishta. So any food that is consumed in this manner becomes yajna system. And this is what the sadhakas should follow. Let others follow or not follow. If you are a serious sadhaka, if your goal is moksha in this life, I don't know whether I'll get it or not, but I am going to put in my best efforts. So all these things the sadhakas should follow. So here Krishna calls yajna system or yajna prasadam as amritam. Because a life of such discipline will lead to a person to moksha or immortality. One meaning of amritam means immortality. Mritam means mortality. Amritam means immortality. And therefore, that's why he says yajna shishta amrita bhujaha. Bhujaha means bhoktaraha, those who partake of yajna shishtam. What will happen to them? Sanatanam Brahmayanti. They will all definitely attain the eternal Brahman. They will all attain moksha. How can they attain moksha? As we have seen, these 12 yajnas which Krishna talks about. And in that 12, he talks about Jnana Yajna also. So, if the 11 other yajnas are practiced initially, these 11 yajnas will lead a person to Jnana Yajna, which is the most powerful and which will lead to moksha. So even though Krishna says that those people who partake of this yajna system, who perform these yajnas and partake of this yajna system, they will sanatanam brahmayanti. We have already discussed this earlier. These are all indirect means for moksha. The direct means for moksha is only jnana yajna. And not only that, if you practice these yajnas regularly, these 11 yajnas, that itself will cleanse the mind, will purify the mind, so that it will create a desire for the jnana yajna. That's why a prolonged religious life will create a desire for philosophical knowledge. And even after that desire, these yajnas themselves also will give sufficient punyam to get a guru. Sufficient punyam to get the atmosphere for learning. Bhagavan will provide all those necessary conditions. It will happen automatically. You will wonder why this is happening, how this is happening. You don't need to go into any research. All that is required is leading a religious life for a long period in your life. Automatically, these things will happen. Once that happens, Jnanam will be a walkover. It will be very easy. Your comprehension of the Upanishadic messages, your comprehension of the Mahabhagyas will be brilliant. And once you have already comprehended, assimilated that Jnanam, Sanatanam Brahmayanti, you will attain immortal, eternal Brahman. Thus, Krishna glorifies those people who do these yajnas. Of course, in our parlance, we can call them karma yogis also, because what are these yajnas? They are all karma yoga only. So now, having glorified these disciplined people, Krishna strongly criticizes others who do not practice even one yajna. He condemns them strongly. Of course, we must understand the condemnation or criticism which Krishna does. It is not his idea to criticize people. Through that criticism, he still wants, his aim is to highlight, glorify those who practice these yajnas. So it is not a criticism per se. So he says, Ayagnasya. And which is a fact rather, it's an experiential fact. Unfortunately, there are people who do not believe in any discipline. You don't need to go far. Look at your next generation in your own house. They have got a wrong concept of freedom. They will talk about human rights. Again, a wrong concept of human right. They question, why should I follow some scriptures written by somebody I don't even know? Why should I follow some guru? I am a human being. I am a free person. I have got free will. Whatever I want to do, I will do. In fact, such people are probably in majority these days. The funny thing is, if they get some health problem, they will rush to a doctor. And the doctor will give them some set of disciplines. Do this, don't eat this, don't do that. All that. That they will follow very. They have never seen the doctor. They don't know the doctor. There, the doctor as a guru, whatever he says, they will follow. So if doctor prescribes some discipline, it is for whose benefit? The doctor himself is not going to get any benefit, except perhaps for some fees, etc. Which according to the good doctor, that is not a consideration at all. But if I follow these disciplines, it is only going to lead to my better health. Similarly, if scriptures give me discipline, scriptures are not going to get any benefit out of it. The gurus or acharyas who are teaching all these things, they are not going to get any benefit out of it. If they want any benefit, they will have to practice all these things. So we must realize that by following all these discipline, only I am going to get the benefit. But then these people do not understand that these disciplines are meant for their own spiritual growth. And therefore, they do not practice any yajna. And that is why, they lead a life which can be termed as loose or undisciplined. They do what they feel like doing. In Sanskrit, such people are called Kamavada or Kamabhaksha. Means they're purely driven by their desires only, their kama, their ragas. Which means whatever you feel like doing, whenever you feel like doing, whatever you feel like talking, whatever you feel like eating, all this, they keep doing it. Therefore, Krishna strongly criticizes those who lead such a licentious life by saying, Ayagnasya, for the undisciplined person, Ayam lokaha na asti. Even worldly happiness in this world is impossible. Why does he say that? Because once you lead an undisciplined life, the first casualty will be your physical health. Eating at odd times, drinking, even coffee and tea and all, indulging in excessive intake of them, gas trouble, acidity, all this. So the first casualty will be the physical health. When physical health is not good, it will lead to a casualty of the mental health. So even though the person may have all material wealth, all pleasures around, all luxurious things he might have, but due to poor health, either physically or mentally or both, he cannot enjoy even a small dance program or a music program. Because even to enjoy the worldly pleasures, I must have I must be a together person, as Pujya Swamiji says. I should be an harmonized person, an organized person, even for enjoying the worldly pleasures. Which means that I should pay attention to every aspect of my living. Therefore, Krishna says, undisciplined person cannot enjoy even the sense pleasures. I am lokaha. So he says, ihaloka sukham nasti. And when even the worldly pleasures are not possible, what to talk of spiritual joy, ananda, which is a subtle ananda, which is much, much, much higher than these gross pleasures of this world. Then he raises a rhetorical question, kutaha anyaha? When ihalokam sukham nasti, how can one have paraloka sukham? Where is the question of going to Swarga, etc.? He says that person will not get anything. So, ihaloka sukham nasti, paraloka sukham api nasti. Moksha sukham is definitely not possible for ayagnyasya, those who do not have any discipline. Krishna now continues. एवं बहुविधा यज्ञाः वितता ब्रह्मणो मुखे कर्मजान् विद्दितान् सर्वान् एवं ज्ञात्वा विमोक्ष्यसे. Excuse me. The Anvaya of the sloka is Evam bahuvidaha yajnaha vitataha brahmanaha mukhe vidditan sarvan karmajan jnatva evam vimokshase. See, there are certain messages in the Upanishads, also in the Bhagavad Gita, which Krishna emphasizes again and again because of their importance. Despite all this, there are people who misunderstand the whole the scheme of the Bhagavad Gita. They say for moksha, Krishna prescribes 4 routes. One is Karma Yoga route, Jnana Yoga route, then Bhakti Yoga route, and also he prescribes Ashtanga Yoga route, Raja Yoga. And probably whether Vyasa or Krishna realized this, and that's why certain messages are repeated again and again. Of course, in different words, in different contexts. So here he says, Evam, in this manner, Bahuvidaha yajnaha, many types of yajnas, vitataha are elaborated, Brahmana mukhe, in the pages of Veda. Vidhi, may you know, Tan sarvan, them all of them, karmajan, to be born of action, Jnatva evam, having known thus, vimokshase, you shall be liberated. So in this manner, many types of yajnas are elaborated in the pages of Veda. Arjuna, know them all to be born of action. Having known thus, you will be free. So here, Krishna is pointing out to one more aspect of these yajnas. He says, I have talked about 12 yajnas. They are only sample yajnas. This is not an exhaustive list. We have got hundreds of yajnas in the Vedas. Krishna is only borrowing some yajnas from the Vedas. And as we all know, Gita is not an original work, but it is an elucidation of the Vedas only. It is a condensed form of what is contained in the Upanishad. Bhagavad Gita su Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. So it is all Upanishad, Brahma Vidya, all that condensation Krishna has brought, including Yoga Shastra, all that he brings into this beautiful text. In fact, if you read the Bhashyams and also the Tikas and all, the Acharyas will show which yajna is borrowed from which part of the Veda. They will give Vedic references. And then they will show that Krishna is only bringing out the Vedic wisdom. Because in the beginning of the 4th chapter, if you all recall, he said, Sakale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. He had said, Vedic wisdom has been lost. And my job is not introducing a new system. I am only reviving the Vedic tradition. You all remember, he said. And then he says, Sa evayam maya tedya yoga prokta puratana bhaktosi me sakacheti rahasyam yetat uttamam. We saw all these shlokas right in the beginning of the 4th chapter. So therefore, Krishna himself is telling that these 12 yajnas are only samples. There are very many similar yajnas talked about in the Vedic scriptures. And therefore, evam, in this manner, like the previous 12 yajnas, bahuvidaha yajnaha, varieties of yajnas are there. Because if we even in our experience, we know pilgrimage is there, which Krishna does not talk about. Japa yajna is there, which Krishna will later on say, Yajnanam japa yajnosmi. But here he does not talk about japa yajna. Therefore, like that, there are so many yajnas which are not mentioned. And if you want to know, you have to study the original Vedic scriptures, what all yajnas are there. And in fact, actually, we did not know more. Even if we practice these 12 yajnas sincerely, it is more than enough. That itself is a big thing. These 12 yajnas are rather 11 yajnas. I'm excluding Yana yajna. These 11 yajnas are more than required for Chitta Shuddhi. We must try to follow, and again, not all 11. You can choose out of them one yajna, enough, or maybe 3-4 yajnas. We must try to follow what we know and are confident of practicing with commitment and sincerity. Because our aim is not scholarship. These yajnas will not result in any benefit like being a yogasana scholar or Vedantic scholar who can give a scholarly description of all these yajnas, yogasanas, etc. The person himself may not be practicing any of them. That's a different matter. But he knows all theoretical, he has full theoretical knowledge, maybe even appointed in some university as a dean in this subject or whatever it is, rather, professor of yajna professor. But then such knowledge will not lead you anywhere. And therefore, what is required is practice what minimum you can, That is what is required. And therefore, Krishna says, Brahmanaha mukhe. Here, the word Brahma means the Vedas, not a Brahmana. So Brahma Mukha means Veda. So in the pages of Veda, in the mouth of Veda means in the pages of Veda, Bahuvidaha Yajnaha Vitataha. Many yajnas are talked about, they are elaborated. And now question will be, why is the Veda giving so many yajnas? Total confusing. Like all this modern, what is that, smartphone, so many things, Even you go to buy some SIM card, for some mobile connection. So many plans, totally confusing. 100 GB, this much money, 150 GB, 100 GB, 30 days, 150 GB, 90 days. You are totally confused. Why can't they just stick to one plan for everybody? Life will be so simple, isn't it? But then these people are very smart and like Vedas, they know that different people will have different choices, different capacities. Suppose a person has got good physical health. He can be prescribed the bodily physical puja like Surya Namaskara, sun salutations, etc. There is a Surya Namaskara mantra, 200 Namaskaras there in that. We find it a big challenge even to do 20 Namaskaras. Even to do these 20 Namaskaras, many of us find getting up in the morning as itself is a very big project. So a person who does not have that perfect athletic health, if you ask him to do Surya Namaskara, how will it work? So the scriptures say, if you are not able to do physical yajna, you do Vachika yajna. If that is also not possible, do Manasa yajna. So the varieties are given because of Adhikari Bheda. And not only that, there are some yajnas which involve a lot of money. If one has to do a big yagam, he will need money. If this fellow does not have money, he need not lament, oh, I cannot do any yagya because I don't have any money, etc. Krishna will tell him, do japa. Sit in a corner, close your eyes and do japa. Do purascharanam, for which no money is required. And this japa will give twin benefits. One benefit is take Ishvara Nama continuously. And another benefit is that during the time of japa, at least, you will leave other people from disturbance. You will not poke your nose in other people's affairs. It is much better than talking all rubbish, hurting, fighting. And that's why this japa, Krishna exalts when he is talking about his glories in the 10th chapter. Vibhuti Yoga. So he talks Yajnanam Japa Yajnosmi. Varieties are given to suit various sadhakas. There are some yajnas which a brahmachari can practice, some which grihasthas can practice, and some which only sannyasis can practice. And therefore, all these yajnas are given. And therefore, Arjuna, I want you to know one thing. All these yajnas have to be broadly classified into two. One is Jnana Yajna and the other is all other yajnas, or we can call them non-Jnana Yajnas. Krishna calls them Dravya Yajna. We can also call them Karma Yajna. So, two divisions. Jnana yajna and all others are karma yajna. We must remember that even meditation or upasana, etc., all those practices will come under karma yajna only. And once you have classified all the yajnas into these two groups, you should know what is the role of these two. We must have a clear understanding as to how far karma yajnas can take us, and what is the role of jnana yajna. This role is very important. Otherwise, it will be like getting into a trip without knowing the destination and direction very clearly. It will be a never-ending trip. And therefore, Krishna says you should know that karma yajnas can only give purification of the mind. All karma yajnas, puja, japa, pranayama, etc., will give purification of the mind. We must be clear that even Ashtanga Yoga also can only integrate the personality. We will discuss about Ashtanga Yoga in the 6th chapter. So the yoga discipline of Patanjali also can only give purity of mind. Of course, in Karma Yoga, we have got choices. You can follow any one or a combination of more, but you should remember that all these will take you up to purity only. Having attained purity, everyone will have to come to Jnana Yajna. So up to purity, you have a choice, but after purity, no choice. Only one yajna, Jnana Yajna. And that is why Upanishad after Upanishad, Suktam after Suktam talk about this. There are mantras after mantras declaring this fact. Na karmana na prajaya dhane na tyage naike amritatvamanashuhu. Na karmana na prajaya dhane na. All these things are good, but it will not lead you to amritatvam. Purusha Suktam says, Tamevam vidwan amrita iha bhavati nanya pantha vidyate yanaya. There is no other route for moksha. Na anya pantha vidyate ayanaya. Ayanaya means the final destination. Moksha, Paramapadam. Kaivalya Upanishads add, Sampashyan Brahma Paramam Yati Nanyena Hetuna. Na Anyena Hetuna. Sampashyan Brahma Paramam. Complete understanding, assimilation of what that Param Brahma is. That is the only way to moksha. Shvetashvatara Upanishad says, Tamatmastam yenu pashyanti dhiras tesham sukam shashvatam na itaresham. Tam atmastam yenu pashyanti dhiraha tesham sukam shashvatam na itaresham. So, scripture after scripture, this message is there is only one route for moksha, that is Jnana Yoga. And it is established logically also in Brahma Sutra. Therefore, you have choice only up to getting purity. After purity, everybody has to come to Jnana Yoga. And therefore, what is Krishna's advice? Follow any karma yajna, purify the mind. Follow Jnana Yajna and be liberated. And this is the message he gives. Tan sarvan karmajan vidhi. These yajnas are not going to result in moksha, in liberation. They are all born of karma. Every karma has got to give its results. Every karma you do is a seed you are sowing for future plantation. So here Sarvan means all yajnas other than Jnana Yajna. All yajnas other than Jnana Yajna, they are all karmajan vidhi. They are born out of karma. Either kayikam karma, vachikam karma, or manasam karma. And therefore, before karma yajna, you will be impure ajnani. And after karma yajna, you will be pure ajnani. So, what karma yoga delivers is from an impure ajnani to a pure ajnani is what it delivers. Previously, you were a disturbed ajnani. Now, a peaceful and quiet ajnani. Ajnanitvam doesn't go away. Even a person who might have reached the pinnacle of Ashtanga Yoga or of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, even that person is only made himself fit. He cannot get knowledge. He cannot get moksha. Because as long as he is in this Samadhi state, he may experience a freedom, a liberation. But that's only again temporary. The moment he comes out of the Samadhi state, he is back to samsara. And therefore, Jnana Yajna is a totally different ball game or discipline altogether. See, now we have been talking about Jnana Yajna. Krishna has also talked about it, but he has not yet defined what is Jnana Yajna in detail. Of course, he will discuss that later. So here he is only highlighting the fact that Vidhi tan sarvan karmajan. May you know that all these yajnas to be born out of karma. And jnatva evam. Having understood that, understood what? Karma yajna gives purity and jnana yajna gives moksham. Follow both. And then vimoksha, say, attain liberation. So first gain purity of mind through karma yajna, then seek self-knowledge through jnana yajna, and eventually be liberated from the shackles of samsara. Evam jnatva vimokshase. Continuing. Shreyan dravyamayad yajna jnana yajna parantapa sarvam karma kilam partha jnane parisamapyate. So he is now continuing from the previous sloka, logically taking it to a conclusion. The Anvaya is He Parantapa, Jnana Yajna Shreyan Yajnat Dravyamayat. He Partha, Sarvam Karma Akilam Parisamapyate Jnane. So he said that earlier, all these yajnas are karmajan vidhi, they are born out of karma. Here he says, Sarvam karma akilam jnane parisamapyate. He parantapa, ho Arjuna, jnana yajna hai, jnana yajna, shreyan is superior. Dravyamayat yajnat, to other yajnas or sacrifices involving materials. He Partha, O Partha, Arjuna, Sarvam Karma, all actions, Akhilam in their entirety, without exception, Parisamapyate, culminates, Jnane, in knowledge. Here he is now glorifying Jnana Yajna as compared to Karma Yajna. He says, O Arjuna, Jnana Yajna is superior to all other yajnas involving materials. Superior to all other yajnas involving materials. Therefore, Arjuna, every action without exception culminates in knowledge. So, as I said, he now glorifies Jnana Yajna. He says Jnana Yajna is the greatest Yajna. Jnana Yajna Shreyan, most superior. Compared to what? Dravyamayat Yajnat. Compared to all other non-Jnana Yajnas. What are those? The 11 yajnas Krishna has mentioned the earlier slokas, as well as all other yajnas mentioned in the Vedic scriptures. He gives one common name to all of them, Dravyamayat Yajna. And as I said earlier, we can understand simply as Karma Yajna. And they are called Dravyamaya Yajna because in all of them, in all those yajnas, generally some materials are involved. If you want to do a Pitri Yajna, like Shraddham, etc., or even Ayushya Homa, so many materials are required. Lot of dravyams are involved. Even pranayamam, etc., so not pranayam. Pranayam doesn't involve any mistake, any material, but parayanams, etc. If we do, Bhagavata Parayanam, etc. At the end, you have to conclude with the puja, which involves materials. So even though the Parayanam itself do not involve any material, to conclude them, some puja, some arti, some prasada distribution happens, they all involve materials. Even if you want to do annadana, it involves a lot of materials. You go on pilgrimage, temple visits, again dravyam is involved. And dravyam means material including money. And therefore Krishna calls all of them as material yajnas, dravya yajna. So as compared to all other karma yajnas, he says jnana yajna is superior. And why is it superior? He gives the logic in the second line. He says, Sarvam karma akhilam jnane parisamapyate. And this line can be interpreted in two different ways. And both of them are important. Both of them are useful. So we will see both the interpretations. The first meaning is that all karmas culminate in jnana. All the karma yajnas reach their culmination only in knowledge. They reach their fructification only in knowledge, which means karma yajnas, all the karma yajnas are of no use if they do not lead to jnanam. Positively put, all karma yajnas will be useful only if they lead to jnanam. It is like cooking a big feast, What is the purpose? Oh, nice aroma is coming. I enjoyed the aroma of cooking. That is not the purpose. The purpose of cooking a big feast is it should culminate in eating the food and enjoying it. As they say, proof of the pudding is in eating. Therefore, all your efforts in cooking gets fructified. All efforts in cooking get validated only when the food is eaten and enjoyed and gives satisfaction to a lot of people. That is the purpose of cooking. Similarly, all your sadhanas are meaningful only when you come to jnanam and attain this satisfaction, tripti, atma tripti. And that is why we say karma yajnas are incomplete without jnana yajna. All your sadhanas are incomplete if you do not come to jnana yajna. And as we have already discussed in one of the earlier classes, Veda does not insist on time when you should come to jnana yajna. This is not like a school or college curriculum, 11 years or 12 years of school, 3 years of college, then postgraduate, then doctorate, like that. There is no such timetable. Veda gives you freedom. Veda does not say you should come to Jnana Yoga today itself. No. If you are interested in Jnanam, or if you are not interested in Jnanam, continue with your karma yajnas, puja, punaskaram, etc. Till such time you become interested in Jnanam. It could be after 5 years, after 10 years, even after 50 years. May not be in this birth, in the next birth, or even in later births. But Veda says one thing, at some time or the other, you will have to come to Jnanam. Otherwise, what will happen? All your effort will be confined to traveling from finitude to finitude, which is really not traveling. It is like pedaling the cycle in the gym or jogging the treadmill. You will be where you are and there will be no progress. Even though a lot of activities are there, there will be no progress as to the distance covered. They may help you in reducing weight or reducing your tummy, etc. But you will remain where you are despite all the efforts. Therefore, other than jnana yajna, do anything, you will be traveling from finitude to finitude. Karma yajnas are helpful, as I said, as an indirect means of liberation. Parampara sadhana. Jnana yajna alone is the sakshat karanam, direct means of liberation. Jnana yajna alone will guide your journey from finitude to infinitude. And therefore, Krishna says, Hey Partha, Sarvam Akhilam Karma, all the karmas without exception, Jnane Parisamapyate, will find their fulfillment only in Jnana Yajna. And there is another important point which one should understand. When it is said that Jnana Yajna alone is the direct means, a person may decide that, okay, after all, eventually I have to come to Jnana Yajna only, which is the direct means. And Karma Yajna is only indirect means. Therefore, I will skip Karma Yajna. I will directly go to Jnana Yajna. Why get involved in all these Karma Yajna, Dravya Yajna, Puja, etc.? We have already seen that Karma Yajnas are incomplete without Jnana Yajna. And so therefore we must now equally add Jnana Yajna is impossible without going through Karma Yajna. There is no shortcut. This understanding should come from this sloka. You cannot say, for example, why should I go to primary school, secondary school? Eventually, I am going to get into a college, university only. Let me directly go to the university at the age of 5 itself. Can we do that? We cannot do that. If we do that, we will not get any knowledge either at the school level or at the university level. Therefore, the protocol has to be followed. You have to go through primary school, secondary school, high school, and then university. And primary school is incomplete without the university. And university is impossible without going through primary school. And therefore, there is no shortcut. Go through Karma Yajna, go through Jnana Yajna and be free. This is the meaning number one or interpretation number one. And the second interpretation is Krishna says all the karma phalam are included in the jnana phalam. Because he says all karmas culminate in jnanam, means the karma phalam, they all are included in the jnana phalam. Samapyate, parisamapyate means antarbhavati. They are contained within it. So jnanam is superior to karma because all the karma phalams are included in the jnana phalam. And the logic is that all karma phalams are finite in nature because it is produced in time. You work and you get the benefit. Working is finite and therefore the results also will be finite. Whereas jnanam leads to knowledge that aham purnaha asmi, aham brahmasmi, satyam jnanam anantam brahma asmi. I am limitless self. I am the infinite self. This is the result of knowledge. So, jnana phalam is infinite, karma phalam is finite. Can infinite be included in the finite? No. Infinite cannot be included in the finite, whereas finite is included in the infinite. Similarly, here also Krishna says that all the results of karma are included in the results of jnana. In fact, if you remember, in the second chapter, Krishna gave an example. Yavanartha udapane sarvatas samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. And a beautiful example. Now that example is relevant here. He had asked, when you have got a huge lake of pure water in front of you, will you run behind small bore wells or other wells? And who will be after a limited water when he has got a huge lake of pure water? So jnana phalam is like the infinite lake, and all the karma phalams are trickling waters from other sources. And because of that, also jnanam is superior. These two interpretations from this sloka we can get. So the first reason is jnanam is superior because it is the direct means of liberation through which everybody has to go through. The second reason is jnanam is superior because in the benefit of jnanam, all the other karma phalams are included. And therefore, naturally now, we are interested in knowing what is this jnana yajna. Because I said we have been talking about it without getting into the details. All through Krishna has been giving a lot of, as they say, build up, you know. So the question is, how am I to pursue knowledge? And that method Krishna gives in the next sloka. We will read the sloka, maybe anvaya and meaning and all we will see in the next class. Tat vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. I think 1 minute is there. We can complete the anvaya and meanings also. The explanation we'll see in the next class. Anvaya is vidhi tat pranipatena sevaya pariprasnena jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha upadekshanti jnanam te. Vidhi tat, may you gain that knowledge. Pranipatena, by prostration, by doing namaskara. Sevaya, by service. Pariprasnena, by proper inquiry. Jnaninaha, the wise. Tattvadarshinaha, those who have realized the truth, the sages. Upadekshanti will impart jnanam, that knowledge te to you. So may that knowledge be gained by prostration, by service, and by proper inquiry. The wise sages will impart that knowledge to you. So we'll stop here and continue in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dhanyavadaha. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Guruji.
Thank you, Swamiji.
धन्यवाद रघुजी.
Dhanyavadaha. No questions, it seems. No hands are up. Lot of absentees also today. I don't know, because of Vaikuntha Ekadashi or I don't know what. Lot of
Year end.
Huh?
So they got the of Gita.
Okay.
Uh,
Fine, then we'll catch up next week. Okay. Hari Om. Thank you all.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.